chosen ones. Welcome to this moment of divine revelation. It's no accident that you've found yourself here today, watching this message at this very moment. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, has guided you to this video, because something powerful and transformative is about to unfold in your life. This is not just another video. This is a divine invitation, a call to step into a new chapter. One where you are no longer waiting for blessings to come. You are embracing the reality that your desires are already on their way. Take a deep breath, for what you are about to hear is not a coincidence. This message is meant for you. You have been chosen for such a time as this. There is no chance that you're here by mere happenstance. The doors to your destiny are opening, and you are stepping through them right now, guided by divine hands. This is your time. The shift you've been praying for, yearning for, is happening. You are shifting from wanting to having. It's time to move from a place of longing to one of receiving. The desire that once seemed distant and elusive is now becoming a reality, and all it takes is your faith, your trust, and your willingness to align with what is already yours. Today we explore how this monumental shift takes place. This isn't just a change of mindset. It is a profound spiritual and energetic transformation. You've been holding space for your desires, wishing and praying for something more, something greater. But here's the truth, that more is already within reach. It's not about waiting for the right time, the right circumstances, or the perfect moment. It's about realizing that what you've been desiring is already on its way, and you are now stepping into the energy of receiving it. This is the divine truth you are meant to embody. You are no longer just wanting, you are having. This shift is not a mere thought exercise. It's a spiritual awakening, an energetic alignment with the blessings that have already been set aside for you. The universe, God the divine, however you connect with the higher power, has been preparing the way. And now it's time for you to step fully into the flow of abundance to claim what's yours. But to do so, you must first understand how this shift works. You must align your heart, your thoughts, your energy, and your actions with the truth that what you desire is already on its way. It's time to stop chasing and start receiving. So I invite you right here and now to pause and engage with this message. Take a moment to affirm your readiness for this divine shift. Tap the like button to show your commitment to this transformation. Subscribe to ensure that you continue receiving guidance on this sacred journey. And most importantly, comment the number 77 below. This isn't just a number, it is a spiritual declaration, a signal to the divine that you are ready, that you are aligned, and that you are ready to step into the abundance that is already coming your way. Just like Joshua and the walls of Jericho, your act of faith, your action is what will cause the walls of limitation to come down. Your declaration today is your first step into receiving. This is your moment, chosen ones. Embrace it. Desire is not a passing thought. It is not just a fleeting feeling that comes and goes with the winds of emotion. Desire in its deepest form is a spiritual force, a divine spark that stirs within us and pulls us towards something greater than ourselves. It is not random or inconsequential. It is the calling of the soul, the recognition that something more awaits us, that we were created for a higher purpose, and that the very core of our being is yearning to align with that purpose. This longing is far from a weakness. Instead, it is a sign of divine awakening, the first whisper of something far more powerful than we can fully comprehend. When we talk about desire in its truest sense, we're speaking of an internal knowing, a knowing that something greater lies ahead. This is not just an idea formed in the mind, but a spiritual compass guiding us toward fulfillment, growth, and ultimately, our destiny. Desire is not simply the wish for something better. It is the pull towards something that has been written in the very fabric of our souls. It's the acknowledgement that there is more to life, more to our existence than what we see in our current circumstances. It is the deep, silent calling that stirs us to awaken to the truth of who we are and why we are here. We see the power of desire throughout Scripture. Think of the story of Hannah, a woman whose deepest longing was to bear a child. Her desire was so profound that it led her to the temple where she poured out her heart in prayer to God. This desire wasn't just about wanting something for her own comfort or pleasure, it was a deep spiritual yearning. Hannah's heart was in alignment with God's purpose, and her desire was the bridge that connected her to divine intervention. Her longing led her to a place of deep faith and commitment, and through her belief, her prayers were answered with the birth of Samuel. Hannah's story is a powerful example of how desire can be more than a mere wish. It can be a catalyst for divine transformation. Her desire was not just a personal wish, but a divine calling that she aligned with through faith. The Bible teaches us that God knows our desires before we even ask, Matthew chapter 6:8, and Hannah's story exemplifies this truth. Her desire was part of a larger divine plan, a plan that was made manifest not because of her wishes alone, but because of her unwavering faith and willingness to align her deepest longings with God's will. Desire is not just a feeling. It is an energetic force that creates space in our lives for something new to manifest. This is where the true power of desire comes into play. It is the signal, the inner call that prompts us to grow. It moves us out of complacency and into action. Desire is not meant to leave us in a state of yearning forever. Instead, it is designed to propel us forward, to challenge us, and to push us to become more than we currently are. It sets us on a path of transformation, awakening the fullness of our potential. In the same way, biblical stories show us that desire, when it is aligned with divine purpose, creates a space for greater things to come. Consider the story of Moses. His desire for freedom for the people of Israel was not just a personal wish, but a deep-seated calling, one that would take him through unimaginable challenges and ultimately lead to the liberation of an entire nation. Moses did not simply ask for freedom for himself. His desire was larger than that. His desire was to align with the will of God and fulfill his divine purpose. His desires led him to confront Pharaoh, to lead the Israelites through the desert, and to bring about one of the most monumental moments in human history, the Exodus. Moses' desire, like Hannah's, was not about a personal fleeting wish. It was about a divine purpose that required him to align his heart and soul with a larger plan. This is the role of desire in divine alignment. It stirs us to action, propels us toward growth, and prepares us for the blessings that are meant to flow into our lives. Desire is the spark that awakens us to our divine purpose, and through that awakening, we are shaped and refined. As we grow in our faith and trust in the divine plan, our desires begin to shift from longing to fulfillment as we move in alignment with the energy of the universe. In a very real sense, your desires are not just yours alone. They are part of a larger cosmic plan. The yearnings that stir deep within you are the seeds of potential that God has planted within your soul. They are the divine blueprint for your life, waiting to be fulfilled. When you align your desires with the higher purpose of God's will, you create a sacred space for growth, for transformation, and for the manifestation of your dreams. The desires you have are not random. They are divinely orchestrated, meant to guide you to the life you were always meant to live. But there is a trap that many fall into, a trap where desire, rather than leading to fulfillment, becomes an endless cycle of wanting. We've all been there, longing for something, praying for it, hoping for it, but it feels like it's just out of reach. The gap between wanting and having can feel like an insurmountable chasm. This gap can create a sense of frustration, anxiety, and even despair. We find ourselves in a state of constant yearning, and yet the fulfillment we seek feels distant, almost impossible. This feeling of unfulfilled desire can be disheartening. It can leave us questioning why our prayers are not being answered, why our hopes seem to remain unfulfilled despite our best efforts. It's in these moments that the importance of faith becomes crystal clear. Faith is the key that transforms this cycle of longing into manifestation. Without faith, desire remains an unfulfilled wish, a distant dream that feels unattainable. But with faith, desire becomes a signal, an energetic call that aligns us with the divine forces that are already at work in our lives. In the Bible, we see examples of how faith transforms longing into reality. Take, for instance, the story of Abraham. God promised Abraham that he would be the father of many nations, but for years, Abraham saw no fulfillment of that promise. In fact, he and his wife Sarah were well beyond childbearing years, and yet God's promise remained. It wasn't until Abraham stepped into the fullness of faith that his desire, his longing for a child became manifest. Abraham's faith was not just about believing in the possibility of the promise. It was about living in the belief that the promise had already been fulfilled even before he saw it with his own eyes. This is the difference between wanting and having. Desire without fulfillment can leave you trapped in a cycle of longing, but desire with faith opens the door to fulfillment. The key is to shift your energy from the state of wanting to the state of having. When you live as though your desires are already fulfilled, you align yourself with the energy of the universe, and you draw your dreams into your reality. The transition from wanting to having is not just about thinking differently. It's about shifting your entire being to match the vibration of abundance. Many of us experience the frustration of unfulfilled desires, but it is through faith that we learn to transform those desires into reality. Faith allows us to see beyond the gap of longing and into the space of divine alignment. It empowers us to trust that what we desire is already on its way, and when we align ourselves with that truth, we move from wanting to having. We become active participants in the divine unfolding of our lives instead of passive observers. Our desires are no longer distant. They are within our reach, already becoming a part of our reality. Let me reaffirm this truth. Your desires are not a burden. They are not a weakness or a sign of inadequacy. They are divine sparks calling you into a deeper alignment with God's purpose. Your desires are not random whims of the heart. They are part of a higher design, a cosmic plan that only you can fulfill. And the moment you embrace this truth, you begin to step into your true power. The gap between wanting and having starts to close, not because you've worked harder, but because you've learned to align with the divine flow of abundance that is already moving toward you. So, chosen ones, as you reflect on the desires within your heart, know that they are not there by accident. They are your soul's call to purpose, your spirit's longing for fulfillment. Embrace them, nurture them, and above all, trust that as you align with the divine purpose behind your desires, the shift from wanting to having will unfold naturally. The universe is not withholding from you, it is awaiting your readiness. The moment you step into faith, the doors to your dreams will open wide, and you will experience a flow of abundance and fulfillment that you have never known before. Your desires are the gateway to your highest calling. Don't shy away from them. Let them lead you. And know this, as you align your heart, your faith, and your actions with divine purpose, the shift from wanting to having will be the most transformative journey of your life. As we explore the path from wanting to having, we must first understand that the transition is not one of mere desire. It is a profound shift in perception and energy. The bridge between wanting something and having it lies in your ability to shift from longing to belief. This journey is not about continuing to chase after what you don't have, but about stepping into a space where you already know that what you've been asking for is already on its way to you. This is the transformative power of faith, the belief that your desires are not just hopes floating in the future, but are actively moving toward fulfillment. Desire, as we have discussed, is the spark that sets us on our spiritual journey. It is the call to something greater, a divine pull toward fulfillment and purpose. But desire alone is not enough to manifest our dreams. Desire without faith remains an unfulfilled longing, a distant star that we cannot quite reach. Faith is what bridges the gap between desire and its fulfillment. It's the energy that transforms a simple wish into a realized dream, the force that aligns our hearts with the universe and opens the doors to the blessings that are already being prepared for us. In Matthew 7:7, Jesus offers a powerful promise. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. This is not a vague suggestion. This is a divine decree. The act of asking, seeking, and knocking is a spiritual declaration that aligns our desires with God's will. But what happens after we ask? It's not enough to simply utter a prayer or express a longing. To manifest what we desire, we must shift from a state of passive wanting to active believing. We must believe that what we've asked for is already on its way. This belief is the foundation of faith, and faith moves mountains. When you step into faith, you begin to embody the belief that your desires are already in motion, even if you can't see them yet. Consider the example found in Mark 11:24, where Jesus tells us, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." This scripture isn't just encouraging us to pray. It's teaching us to pray with the belief that the answer is already given. Faith is the key that unlocks the fulfillment of your desires. It's not enough to pray for something while holding on to doubts. It's not enough to hope without truly believing that what you desire is already part of your divine plan. The shift from wanting to having begins when you shift from praying with doubt to praying with the confidence that what you seek is already moving toward you. You must act in the fullness of faith, knowing that your desires are already on their way. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on the edge of a great river. You've asked for the blessings you seek, whether it's love, financial abundance, success, or peace, and you know that God has heard your prayer. But instead of waiting on the riverbank, uncertain if the boat of your blessings will ever arrive, you step into the river with confidence. You do not need to see the boat yet, but you trust that it is already making its way toward you. Faith is the act of stepping into the river, knowing that the boat will arrive at the right time. This belief is what moves you from the state of wanting to the state of having. Now, while shifting from desire to belief is essential, it's equally important to understand that divine manifestation doesn't always unfold on our timeline. One of the greatest challenges on the journey from wanting to having is the human tendency to want immediate results. We live in a world that prizes instant gratification, where everything seems to happen at the speed of a click or a tap. But divine timing operates on a different plane. It is not bound by our schedules, our impatience, or our need for control. Trusting in divine timing requires a deep release of the need for things to unfold on our terms. When we look at the stories of the Bible, we see that God's timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't seem so from a human perspective. Consider the story of Joseph. He had dreams of greatness, dreams that he would one day rise to power and save his family. But Joseph's journey to fulfillment was not quick or easy. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned, and forgotten. Yet through it all, Joseph trusted in God's plan, knowing that his desires were part of a larger divine purpose. And in God's perfect timing, Joseph rose to power, fulfilling his dreams and saving his family. Joseph's story is a powerful reminder that God's promises are never delayed. They are always on time, even when we cannot see the full picture. This is where faith becomes paramount. We must trust that even when things aren't moving as quickly as we would like, the universe is working behind the scenes, aligning people, events, and circumstances for our highest good. Releasing the need for immediate results doesn't mean you stop desiring or stop acting on your dreams. It means you stop stressing about when it will happen and trust that it will unfold when it's meant to. Divine timing is not just about waiting. It's about trusting that everything is working out for you, even when it doesn't look that way. This trust releases the tension of impatience and allows you to fully embrace the process. You are not passive in this process. You are active in your faith, knowing that as you align with God's will, the universe will deliver what you've asked for in perfect timing. In 2 Peter 3:8-9, we are reminded, "But do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day." The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand slowness. Instead, he is patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance. God's timing is not our timing. What may seem like a delay is actually a preparation, a perfect alignment of events that will bring about your desires in the best possible way. So when you feel frustration creeping in, when you feel the urge to rush, take a deep breath and trust the process. Instead of focusing on the gap between your current reality and your desires, focus on the assurance that your desires are already being fulfilled in divine timing. You are not waiting in vain. Everything that is meant for you is already on its way. The key to breaking the cycle of longing and stepping into the energy of having is faith. Faith isn't just about believing that something might happen one day. It's about believing that it is already happening. Faith is the bridge between your desires and their fulfillment. It's the unwavering conviction that what you've asked for is already in motion, even when you can't see it yet. Faith allows you to live in the state of having, even when the evidence hasn't yet appeared in the physical world. One of the greatest challenges we face on the spiritual journey is the temptation to doubt when we don't see immediate results. When things aren't moving as quickly as we want them to, it's easy to slip back into the cycle of wanting, thinking that our desires are still out of reach. But faith doesn't wait for evidence. It believes in the unseen. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. Faith transforms longing into a certainty that your desires are already yours, even when the physical manifestation hasn't yet appeared. When we shift from the mindset of I want to, I have, we align our thoughts, feelings, and actions with the belief that what we desire is already part of our reality. This shift requires a change in perspective. Instead of focusing on what's missing, we begin to focus on what's already here. We begin to act as though our desires have already been fulfilled. We stop waiting for the future to bring us what we want and start living as if the future has already arrived. Imagine for a moment that you have already received everything you've been asking for. How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? How would your actions change? This is the power of faith. It shifts your energy from a place of longing to a place of having. When you embrace this truth, you move from a cycle of waiting to a state of receiving. You are no longer chasing after your desires. You are allowing them to flow to you effortlessly. This is the essence of divine alignment. The belief that what you seek is already seeking you. As you step into the role of active co-creator with God, you begin to see the world differently. You see that everything around you is aligning to bring your desires into fruition. And as you do, you are no longer stuck in the cycle of wanting. You are living in the energy of having fully aligned with your divine purpose and ready to receive the blessings that are already on their way. So, chosen ones, let this be the moment where you release the need for immediate results. Trust in divine timing. Know that your desires are moving toward you even when you can't yet see them. Live in faith and step into the reality of having where your desires are already manifesting and your path is unfolding with grace and purpose. The universe is responding to your energy, and the floodgates of blessings are about to open. As we continue on this transformative journey from wanting to having, it is essential to delve deeper into the fundamental element that makes this shift possible: faith. Faith is the bridge between desire and manifestation. It is the conduit through which our deepest desires flow into reality. Without faith, desire remains a distant hope, a wish that may never come to fruition. But with unwavering faith, desire becomes a living, breathing part of our reality. Faith doesn't just move mountains, it creates them. Faith is not a passive act of wishing for something. It is the active belief that what we desire is already on its way, even when there is no visible evidence to support it. Manifestation does not begin with the world around us. It begins with the belief that what we seek is already on its way to us. Faith is the energy that aligns our hearts with the divine and activates the process of turning desires into reality. It is the inner conviction that despite appearances, the universe is working behind the scenes to bring our dreams to life. In the Bible, we are given countless examples of faith transforming desire into reality. One of the most profound is the story of Abraham. God promised Abraham that he would be the father of many nations, but for years, Abraham saw no sign of this promise being fulfilled. He and his wife Sarah were advanced in age, and Sarah had been barren for many years. Yet, despite the circumstances, Abraham did not waver in his faith. In Romans chapter 4, 20 to chapter 21, we read, "Yet he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith, and gave glory to God, being fully persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised." Abraham's faith was not dependent on external evidence. He believed in the promise of God, without needing to see it with his physical eyes. This unwavering belief became the foundation upon which his manifestation was built. When God's promise was fulfilled, Abraham's faith had already created the energetic shift that brought his desire into reality. Abraham did not passively wait for the promise to come true. He lived in the truth that it already was. This belief in the unseen is the essence of faith. It is the unwavering conviction that even when circumstances suggest otherwise, what you desire is already in motion. This kind of faith is not always easy, especially when the fulfillment of our desires feels distant. But faith in its truest form does not require immediate results or visible signs. It is the deep-seated belief that our desires are already on their way, that the universe is aligning everything in perfect timing. Faith allows us to surrender our need for control and trust in divine timing, knowing that the very act of believing brings our desires closer. Another powerful example of faith in action is the story of Elijah. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah prayed for rain during a severe drought. At the time, the land had been dry for years, and Elijah's prayer seemed audacious. Yet he had unwavering faith that God would answer. He sent his servant to look toward the sea, even though there was no visible sign of rain. 7 times the servant returned, saying that there was no sign of rain, but Elijah remained steadfast in his belief. Finally, on the 7th time, his servant reported seeing a cloud the size of a man's hand. Elijah's faith had made the impossible possible, and rain began to fall, ending the drought. Elijah's story is a testament to the power of faith to bring about what seems impossible. It was not Elijah's prayers alone that brought rain. It was his unwavering faith that activated the manifestation. He did not wait passively for the rain to appear. He believed that it was coming, and his belief created the conditions necessary for the rain to fall. This is the power of faith. It transforms the invisible into the visible, the intangible into the tangible. Faith in this sense acts as the seed that grows into manifestation. When we plant the seed of faith in our hearts, we nurture it with trust, belief, and patience. The more we align ourselves with this faith, the more it grows, and the closer we move to the fulfillment of our desires. Faith is not a passive waiting game. It is an active co-creation with God. It is the belief that our desires are not just dreams, but are already becoming our reality. True faith is not about hoping for something to happen. It is about aligning ourselves with God's plan and trusting that our desires are already in motion. Faith is not about pushing for something to happen on our own terms. It is about surrendering our personal timeline and trusting that God's timing is perfect. When we align ourselves with the divine, we enter into a co-creative partnership with the universe, where our desires and God's will work in harmony. In Isaiah 55:9 we are reminded, "As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." God's plan is grander, wiser, and more intricate than we can fully comprehend. Our desires are not separate from God's will. They are a part of it. When we align our desires with God's plan, we open ourselves to receiving the blessings that have already been prepared for us. But this alignment requires faith. It requires the belief that God's plan is already in motion, even when we can't see the full picture. Faith is what moves us from passivity, waiting, to active participation, co-creating with God. When we live in faith, we stop waiting for our desires to arrive and start living as though they already have. This shift in energy is the key to manifestation. Instead of waiting for the world to change, we begin to change how we show up in the world. Our actions, thoughts, and beliefs all align with the truth that our desires are already part of our reality. Faith calls us into action, into alignment with the divine forces that are already at work. It asks us to trust that what we are praying for is already on its way. But it also invites us to actively participate in the unfolding of our desires. This is where co-creation comes in. We are not passive observers in the manifestation process. We are active participants walking in faith, living as though our desires are already here and aligning our actions with the belief that what we seek is already coming. In James 2:26, we are told, "As the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead." Faith requires action. It is not enough to simply believe that our desires will manifest. We must live in a way that reflects this belief. Our actions, words, and energy must align with the reality we are creating. This means taking inspired steps toward our dreams, trusting our intuition, and making decisions that reflect the truth of what we desire. The more we align our actions with our faith, the faster our desires begin to manifest. Think of a farmer planting seeds. The farmer doesn't just plant the seed and then sit back waiting for it to grow. The farmer waters the seed, nurtures the soil, and makes sure the conditions are right for the seed to flourish. Similarly, faith requires us to take action in alignment with our desires. When we live as though our desires are already on their way, we begin to create the conditions for them to manifest. Our faith transforms our actions from mere hope into active participation in the process of creation. One of the most challenging aspects of faith is trusting in divine timing. When we are living in faith, we must surrender our need for control over when and how our desires will manifest. Divine timing is not bound by our schedules or expectations. It operates on a higher level, one that we may not always fully understand. But when we trust in divine timing, we open ourselves to the perfect alignment of people, opportunities, and circumstances that will bring our desires into reality. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3:1, we read, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." This is the truth of divine timing. God's plan for our lives unfolds in its perfect season. We may not understand why things aren't happening as quickly as we would like, but we must trust that everything is happening exactly as it should. Faith in divine timing allows us to release our anxieties and fears, knowing that our desires are not delayed. They are being prepared for us in the perfect moment. When we align with divine timing, we stop trying to force things to happen and instead trust that they will unfold in their own time. This requires a deep sense of patience and surrender. But when we trust in God's perfect timing, we experience peace, knowing that our desires are not only possible, but inevitable. We are no longer waiting for things to change. We are embracing the certainty that everything we desire is already on its way. Faith is the foundation of manifestation. It is the unwavering belief that our desires are already moving toward us, even when we cannot see them. Faith allows us to move from a state of wanting to a state of having, transforming our desires into our reality. As we align with God's plan and trust in divine timing, we become active participants in the manifestation process. We no longer wait for our desires to appear. We live as though they already have. Through faith, we move from passivity to action, from longing to receiving, and from waiting to co-creating with the divine. Chosen ones. The role of faith in manifestation is not just about believing in the unseen. It is about stepping into the truth that everything we desire is already on its way. As you continue to walk in faith, trust that your desires are already moving toward you, that the universe is aligning everything in perfect timing. Live as though what you seek is already here, and watch as the doors to your blessings swing wide open. Faith is the key that unlocks your divine potential, and with unwavering faith, there is nothing that is impossible for you. As we continue on this journey from wanting to having, we now arrive at one of the most transformative concepts in the process of manifestation: the frequency of abundance. This is not merely a philosophical idea or an abstract concept. It is a powerful, energetic truth that governs the way our desires manifest. The universe operates on frequencies, vibrations that are attuned to our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Just as a radio dial tunes into a specific station, our thoughts and energy tune into the frequency of the life we are creating. By consciously shifting our energy to align with the frequency of abundance, we open the floodgates of manifestation, inviting blessings into our lives at an accelerated pace. The universe responds to the energy we emit. Everything around us, our circumstances, relationships, opportunities, is a reflection of the energy we are putting out into the world. If you find yourself constantly struggling, feeling like there is never enough or always waiting for things to improve, it's likely that you are tuned into the frequency of lack. This frequency operates on the belief that there is not enough to go around, that your desires are out of reach, and that you must fight for every scrap of what you want. It is a low-vibration energy that keeps us stuck in a cycle of longing and scarcity. But here's the divine truth. The frequency of abundance is always available to us. It's the energy of knowing that there is more than enough in the universe for everyone, that our desires are already on their way, and that the universe is abundant beyond measure. When we align ourselves with this frequency, we begin to attract the very things we desire effortlessly, naturally, and with ease. Shifting to the frequency of abundance requires a change in perception. It's not about forcing the universe to give us what we want. It's about attuning ourselves to the vibration of what we seek. Imagine standing in front of a radio, trying to listen to a station, but the dial is off. You can hear static, but you're not hearing the music clearly. When you adjust the dial, when you shift the frequency, the music becomes clear. In the same way, when you adjust your energetic frequency to one of abundance, you begin to hear the sweet symphony of the universe, the synchronicities, the opportunities, the blessings. One of the most powerful tools for shifting your energetic frequency is language. Words are incredibly powerful, and they are a direct reflection of the energy you are holding. When you speak from a place of lack, you reinforce the belief that there is not enough. I can't afford this. I never get what I want. There's never enough time. I'm always struggling. These words keep you stuck in a low-frequency vibration. But when you shift your language to reflect abundance, you are aligning your energy with the truth of the universe that there is more than enough for you. Start using language that reflects abundance. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," say, "I am open to receiving the abundance I need to make this possible." Instead of, "I never get what I want," say, "I trust that my desires are already on their way to me." Instead of, "I'm always struggling," say, "I am grateful for the abundance that is flowing into my life." These simple changes in language have a profound impact on your energy. When you speak from a place of abundance, you align yourself with the very things you seek. The universe responds to the energy of your words, and as you shift your language, you shift your reality. Changing your language is one of the most immediate and powerful steps you can take to transform the energy of your life. It's a conscious choice to move away from scarcity and lack and embrace the infinite possibilities of abundance. When you begin to speak from a place of abundance, you begin to believe in it, and that belief activates the manifestation of your desires. While shifting your language is an essential step, the most powerful tool for aligning with the frequency of abundance is gratitude. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the floodgates of manifestation. It is the highest vibration we can emit, and it is the doorway through which blessings flow into our lives. Gratitude is not just a nice sentiment, it is a potent energetic force that directly impacts the way we experience the world. When we cultivate a heart of gratitude, we align ourselves with the energy of abundance, and in turn, we begin to attract more to be grateful for. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5:18, the Bible teaches us to give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Gratitude is not limited to moments of success or happiness. It is a practice that we can embrace in all circumstances. Even in times of struggle, we can find things to be grateful for, and in doing so, we shift our energy from lack to abundance. Gratitude is not about denying our challenges or pretending that everything is perfect. It is about recognizing the blessings that are present even in the most difficult moments. Gratitude opens our eyes to the abundance that already exists in our lives. It shifts our focus from what is missing to what is present. When we focus on the blessings we already have, we invite more blessings into our lives. This is the law of attraction in action. What we focus on expands. When we focus on gratitude, we expand the energy of abundance, and the universe responds by bringing us even more to be grateful for. The transformative power of gratitude lies in its ability to shift our perception of the world. When we are grateful, we stop seeing life as a series of obstacles or shortages. Instead, we begin to see life as a flow of opportunities, blessings, and possibilities. Gratitude allows us to feel abundant even when we don't yet see the physical manifestation of our desires. It is the belief that what we seek is already on its way, and the feeling of gratitude amplifies that belief. Start practicing gratitude daily, and you will begin to notice a shift in your energy. Each morning, take a moment to reflect on the things you are grateful for. It could be something as simple as the beauty of nature, the love of your family, or the gift of good health. As you cultivate this habit, you will begin to feel the energy of abundance filling your life. Gratitude is the doorway through which you align yourself with the universe's abundance, and the more you embrace it, the more you will experience its transformative power. As you align with the frequency of abundance, you begin to see its effects in every area of your life. Abundance is not just about material wealth. It encompasses all aspects of life: love, relationships, health, creativity, success, and joy. When you align with the energy of abundance, you begin to attract more of everything that aligns with your highest good. You no longer struggle to make ends meet or chase after what you think you want. Instead, you step into the flow of life knowing that everything you desire is already on its way. One of the most powerful aspects of embracing the frequency of abundance is the peace that comes with it. When you are aligned with abundance, you no longer feel the need to compete with others or compare yourself to them. You know that there is more than enough for everyone. Abundance is not a limited resource. It is infinite. When you embrace this truth, you stop measuring your success against others and instead focus on your own journey. You celebrate the successes of others because you know that their success does not diminish yours. In fact, the success of others is a reflection of the abundance that is available to you as well. This shift in perception frees you from the shackles of competition, comparison, and jealousy. You begin to see that there is more than enough love, success, and prosperity to go around. When you embrace the frequency of abundance, you also begin to embody it. You stop hoarding your blessings and start sharing them with others. You give generously, not because you have to, but because you know that there is always more where that came from. The more you give, the more you receive. This is the divine flow of abundance at work. As you embrace the frequency of abundance, you begin to see your life transform. The shift from wanting to having is not just a mental exercise, it is a complete energetic transformation. When you align yourself with the energy of abundance, you attract the very things you desire with ease and grace. Gratitude. Language and a deep belief in the abundance that already surrounds you are the keys to unlocking this transformation. So, chosen ones, take a moment to reflect on the energy you are emitting into the universe. Are you focused on lack, or are you focused on abundance? Are you speaking from a place of scarcity, or are you speaking from a place of abundance. Are you practicing gratitude for the blessings you already have? The more you align with the frequency of abundance, the more you will see your desires manifest in your life. Remember, abundance is not something you have to chase. It is something you align with. It is already here, and it is ready to flow into your life. Trust in the process, embrace gratitude, and know that the universe is always responding to the energy you put out. As you continue to live in the frequency of abundance, watch as your desires become your reality. The floodgates of blessings are already opening, and all you need to do is step into the flow. As we continue our journey from wanting to having, we must confront one of the most crucial, yet often difficult aspects of the manifestation process: divine timing and the act of surrender. In a world that values speed, instant results, and control, it can be incredibly challenging to release our grip on timing and trust that things are unfolding according to a higher plan. However, this very act of surrender, of letting go of our need to control and allowing divine timing to take over, is where the magic of manifestation truly happens. When we step into trust and embrace the process, we open ourselves to the blessings that are already on their way, knowing that they are arriving at the perfect moment. In the pursuit of our dreams and desires, there's one struggle that many of us face on our spiritual journey: the need to control the outcome. We live in a world where we are constantly told to plan, act, and push forward. We are taught that if we just work hard enough, make the right moves, and take decisive actions, we will see the results we want. While action and intention are vital parts of manifestation, there is a deeper lesson we must learn: the importance of releasing control, especially over the timing of our desires. Divine timing is a force far beyond our understanding. We see a path ahead of us, and in our minds we can picture exactly when and how we believe our blessings should unfold. We get anxious when things don't happen according to our timeline, and we try to push the process, forcing things into existence. But here's the truth: the timing of the universe is always perfect, even when it doesn't align with our expectations. When we let go of our need to control the how and when, we open ourselves to a greater flow of grace, and we allow our desires to come to us effortlessly. The need for control often stems from fear. Fear that our desires won't manifest, fear that we'll miss our chance, or fear that things won't work out the way we hope. In this fear, we believe that we must force the outcome to make it happen. We push, we rush, we try to speed things up. But in doing so, we unknowingly create resistance. We block the natural flow of abundance and make it harder for the very blessings we desire to reach us. Instead of allowing life to unfold in its perfect timing, we struggle against it, trying to make things happen on our own terms. This is where divine timing comes into play. Trusting divine timing means acknowledging that we do not know all the answers, and that our journey is being guided by a higher power. God's plan for us is far greater than anything we can imagine. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, knows exactly when and how things should unfold in our lives. When we trust in this process, we can release the pressure and anxiety that comes from trying to force things into existence. Surrendering control does not mean sitting idly by waiting for something to happen. Instead, it means trusting that what is meant for you is already in motion, and your role is to stay aligned and open, waiting for it to arrive at the perfect time. Consider the powerful words of Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. This verse is a reminder that our understanding is limited, but God's wisdom is infinite. When we trust in divine timing, we let go of our attachment to how and when things should happen. We allow ourselves to be led by faith instead of frustration. It is in this trust that our path becomes clear, and the blessings we seek begin to flow into our lives. Releasing control does not mean we stop taking action. It doesn't mean we stop pursuing our dreams, desires, or goals. It means we take inspired action. We act when we are guided. Trust the timing of each step, and allow the universe to show us the next move. There is tremendous power in patience. The patience that comes from knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even when we can't see it yet. Trusting in divine timing is about surrendering the need to control the outcome, and instead, trusting that the universe is always working on our behalf. Patience in this context is not about waiting for things to happen out of sheer endurance. It is about having faith that the right opportunities, the right people, and the right circumstances are being aligned for us. It is the knowing that we are always being guided toward our desires, even when we don't see the full picture. The universe is working behind the scenes to bring us what we need at just the right moment. When we release our grip on control, we allow the divine flow to carry us, and in doing so, the results are often more magnificent than anything we could have planned or imagined on our own. Imagine for a moment the peace that comes from truly letting go of the need to control. Instead of constantly worrying about when your desires will come, you trust that they are already on their way. Instead of stressing over the details, you trust the process and know that God's timing is perfect. You let go of fear and resistance, allowing yourself to be carried by faith, knowing that everything will unfold as it's meant to. This is the transformative power of trusting divine timing. In the story of Sarah and Abraham, we see the struggle between impatience and trust in God's timing. Sarah, unable to conceive, took matters into her own hands by giving her servant Hagar to Abraham. This decision, made out of frustration and impatience, resulted in a conflict that could have been avoided had Sarah trusted God's perfect timing. For years she waited for the promise of a child, but her faith wavered, and she tried to make things happen on her own terms. However, when Sarah finally surrendered her timeline and trusted in God's plan, she conceived and bore Isaac, and God's promise was fulfilled. The lesson here is clear. When we take control in moments of impatience, we often create unnecessary challenges. But when we trust God's timing and surrender to His plan, we make space for our desires to manifest effortlessly. The key is patience, believing that God's plan for us is perfect, and trusting that the timing of our desires will be just right, even if it doesn't unfold according to our expectations. This doesn't mean we stop moving forward or pursuing what we want. It means that we trust the process and allow ourselves to be led to the right opportunities. We trust that our efforts are not in vain, but are part of a greater unfolding. The most important thing is to release the need to control the when and how, and embrace the divine timing that is already at play. As we trust the process, we also embrace the peace that comes from surrender. When we let go of resistance and fear, we invite calm into our hearts. This peace is the foundation of true manifestation. It is the knowing that all things are working together for our highest good. Instead of struggling to make things happen, we allow them to happen with ease. And in this peace we find joy, for we know that our desires are already coming into being. Surrendering control is not about giving up on our dreams. It is about trusting that those dreams are already in motion. It is about knowing that what we seek is already being prepared for us. When we release our resistance and trust in divine timing, we step into a life of flow, where blessings come to us naturally, and we are able to receive them with open hearts. The journey from wanting to having is not a straight line. There will be moments of doubt, moments when we question if things are really working out the way we hoped. But it is in those moments that trust becomes the most important. Trust that divine timing is at work. Trust that God's plan for you is unfolding perfectly. And trust that in the end, everything you desire will come to you in the right time. So let go of the need to control. Release the fear and resistance that hold you back. Trust that everything you desire is already on its way. Allow divine timing to guide you, and watch as your life unfolds in ways that surpass your greatest expectations. Surrender is not a passive act. It is an active expression of faith, a profound trust that God's plan is better than anything we could devise on our own. To surrender is to release all doubts, all fears, and all attachments to specific outcomes. It is to step into a place of peace, knowing that everything is in divine order even when we can't see it. In surrendering, we make space for God's plan to unfold, trusting that His timing is always perfect, and that every step of the journey is leading us to our highest good. The story of Sarah, the wife of Abraham, is a powerful example of the struggle between impatience and trusting God's perfect timing. In Genesis 16, we read that Sarah, unable to bear children, became impatient with God's promise to Abraham that he would be the father of many nations. She took matters into her own hands and encouraged Abraham to have a child with her maidservant Hagar. This decision, born out of her frustration and impatience, resulted in conflict and complications that could have been avoided if she had trusted in God's timing. Sarah's story is a reminder that when we act out of impatience or fear, we often create situations that make the fulfillment of our desires more complicated. God's promise to Sarah and Abraham was not delayed. It was unfolding in its perfect timing. But Sarah's lack of trust in God's process led her to try to take control. And this attempt to force the outcome created a ripple effect of consequences. However, despite her impatience, God remained faithful to His promise. In Genesis chapter 1, Sarah miraculously gave birth to Isaac, and through Isaac the promise was fulfilled. The lesson here is clear. When we surrender to God's plan and trust His timing, the manifestation of our desires will come with peace and grace. When we try to force things to happen before they are ready, we only create resistance and delay. Surrendering to God's process is not about giving up on our dreams. It is about trusting that God knows what is best for us and that His plan is perfect. As we align ourselves with His timing, the fulfillment of our desires will come with ease and grace. Patience is not just the absence of impatience. It is an active, conscious choice to trust that everything is unfolding as it should. Patience allows us to release the anxiety that comes from waiting and to step into a state of peace and trust. It is in this state of patience that we become more attuned to the divine flow, more open to receiving the blessings that are already on their way to us. Consider the example of Joseph, whose life is a testament to the power of patience and trust in divine timing. Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers, and for years he endured hardship and struggle. Yet through it all, Joseph trusted in God's plan for his life. He did not know when his breakthrough would come, but he trusted that it would. In the end, Joseph rose to power in Egypt, and the very brothers who betrayed him came to him for help. Joseph's patience and faith in God's timing allowed him to see the fulfillment of his dreams in a way that he could not have imagined. Patience, like surrender, is not about inaction. It is about trusting in the process. When we are patient, we remain focused on the present moment, knowing that each step is part of a larger plan. We do not rush the process or try to force things to happen. Instead, we trust that God is working behind the scenes, preparing us for the blessings that are on their way. When we surrender our need for immediate results, we make space for the fullness of God's plan to unfold. In James 5:7-8, we are reminded to be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. Just as a farmer patiently waits for the harvest, we must patiently wait for the fulfillment of our desires. Patience allows us to cultivate faith and trust in divine timing, knowing that the harvest will come at the perfect moment. One of the most profound shifts we can make in our spiritual journey is learning to trust the process and embrace divine timing. So often, we feel like we're racing against the clock, pushing and striving to make things happen on our own terms. We tend to forget that there is a greater force at work, a divine plan that is unfolding perfectly, even when we can't see it. Trusting this process and surrendering our need to control brings with it a deep, unwavering peace, a peace that settles in our hearts and minds, allowing us to experience life from a place of calm assurance. When we let go of the need to control, we release the stress, anxiety, and worry that often accompany our desires. The burden of trying to make things happen in our own timing weighs heavily on us, We become consumed by the idea that if we don't act now, we might miss out. We spend so much energy chasing after our desires that we forget to enjoy the journey. But when we surrender to divine timing, we stop the frantic chase. We stand firm in the belief that everything we desire is already on its way to us. We are no longer waiting for the perfect moment, but instead we trust that the perfect moment is already unfolding. This trust in divine timing allows us to experience a profound peace. We no longer feel like we are fighting against the flow of life. Instead, we align ourselves with it, knowing that the universe is working on our behalf, orchestrating events and aligning circumstances in perfect harmony. This peace transcends our understanding. It's not a peace that comes from external circumstances being just right, but a peace that comes from an inner knowing that everything is happening as it should. In Philippians 4:6-7, the Bible reminds us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This passage teaches us that when we bring our worries and desires to God in prayer, and when we trust in His process, we receive a peace that is beyond human comprehension. This peace doesn't come from having everything under control. It comes from trusting that God has everything in His hands. When we surrender our need to know how and when things will unfold, we make room for a peace that surpasses all understanding. It guards our hearts and minds, allowing us to stay grounded in the present moment and release the fears and doubts that cloud our vision. The idea of surrendering can sometimes feel intimidating. It might feel like giving up, like allowing ourselves to remain passive while waiting for our desires to manifest. But surrendering is not about giving up. It's about giving in to the divine flow of life. It's about releasing the need to control every detail and trusting that God's plan is far more intricate, far more beautiful, and far more perfect than anything we could create on our own. Surrendering to God's process is about trust. It's about acknowledging that while we may not understand the full picture, we are being led down the right path. God's timing is always perfect. His plan is always aligned with what is best for us. When we trust in this, we no longer feel the need to force things to happen. Instead, we allow the natural unfolding of life, knowing that every step we take is leading us closer to the fulfillment of our desires. This is the peace that comes with surrender, the peace of knowing that everything is happening exactly as it should. We are not waiting in vain. We are being prepared for something greater. The timing may not be what we expected, but we trust that it is right. This peace allows us to release any feelings of impatience or frustration that might arise. We stop worrying about whether we are missing out on opportunities or whether we are too late. Instead, we trust that we are exactly where we are supposed to be. And when the time is right, we will step into the fullness of our blessings. Imagine for a moment how much lighter you would feel if you released the burden of trying to control the process. Imagine how peaceful your life could become if you truly trusted that everything is already being arranged for you. When you stop resisting, you begin to receive not just your desires, but the peace and joy that come with knowing that your path is already set in motion. Surrendering to divine timing doesn't mean sitting idly by and waiting for things to happen. It doesn't mean giving up on our dreams or desires. It means trusting that the universe is working behind the scenes, aligning people, opportunities, and circumstances to bring about what you've been praying for. It's about remaining open and receptive, knowing that your desires will arrive in their perfect time. Take a moment and reflect on the last time you tried to control the outcome of something in your life. Maybe you tried to force a relationship, or you stressed over a career move, or you rushed through a decision out of fear. How did that feel? More often than not, when we try to control things, we create tension, frustration, and even failure. But when we surrender, we allow things to unfold naturally. We stop trying to force the outcome, and we start trusting that life is happening for us, not to us. Think about the story of the Israelites in the wilderness. For 40 years they wandered waiting for the promised land. Many of them complained, questioning God's timing. They felt as though they were being delayed, as though they were stuck. But God was working in them, preparing them for what they would face. His plan was unfolding perfectly, even when they couldn't see it. The lessons of patience, trust, and faith that they learned during that time shaped them into the people they needed to be in order to enter the promised land. The timing of their arrival wasn't a mistake, it was perfect. This is the power of surrender. When we trust God's timing, we allow ourselves to learn, grow, and prepare for what is to come. We stop rushing and start receiving. We stop struggling and start flowing with the divine process. The peace that comes with this surrender is not passive. It's an active, powerful peace that allows us to move through life with assurance, knowing that we are always in the right place at the right time. The ultimate peace of surrender comes from the knowing that you are not alone. God is with you every step of the way. His plan is unfolding with you, and every experience, every delay, every detour is part of that plan. When you trust in divine timing, you release the need to question or doubt. Instead, you embrace the process and walk in faith, knowing that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Trusting the process means living with the confidence that everything is working out for your highest good. It means letting go of the anxiety and uncertainty that come with trying to control every outcome. It means choosing peace over fear, faith over doubt, and trust over impatience. And in doing so, you open yourself to the full experience of life, one that is filled with grace, blessings, and a deep sense of divine purpose. So, chosen ones, trust the process. Surrender to divine timing. Let go of the need to control and embrace the peace that comes with knowing that everything is unfolding as it should. Allow yourself to rest in the assurance that your desires are on their way and that the universe is always working on your behalf. Trust in God's perfect plan and know that in the end, you will see the beautiful picture that He has been painting for you all along. Chosen one's surrender is the key to unlocking the fullness of God's plan for your life. When we let go of the need to control and trust in divine timing, we open ourselves to receive the blessings that are already on their way. Just as a farmer trusts the seasons to bring the harvest, we must trust that God is working behind the scenes, aligning everything for our highest good. Surrendering to God's process is an act of faith. It is the belief that His timing is perfect, even when we cannot see it. As you continue on this journey from wanting to having embraced the power of surrender, release your need to control, trust in divine timing, and allow God's plan to unfold in its perfect time. Patience, faith, and trust are the keys to receiving the blessings that await you. Remember, you are not waiting in vain. Your desires are already on their way, and the perfect timing for their fulfillment is approaching. Embrace the peace that comes with surrender and trust that everything is unfolding perfectly for you. Your time is coming, and it is already on its way. As we reach the culmination of this transformative journey, the most important realization you must embrace is that the final shift, perhaps the most powerful shift of all, happens when you fully embody the state of having. This is where everything changes. It is one thing to desire something, to long for it, and to even believe it is coming. But the true transformation occurs when you step into the energy of already having it. It is when you shift from being a passive recipient of blessings to an active participant in the divine flow of abundance. This is where your desires cease to be distant, unattainable dreams and become your living, breathing reality. When you embrace the state of having, you align yourself completely with God's abundance. It is not just a belief. It is an energetic shift in how you live, how you show up in the world, and how you move through each day. You begin to radiate peace, joy, and confidence because you know deep in your soul that what you desire is already here. This state of having is not about external validation, not about waiting for the world to reflect your desires. It is about embodying the truth that everything you need and want is already within your reach, already yours by divine right. Living in the state of having means that you do not chase after your blessings or pray in desperation. Instead, you live as though your prayers have already been answered, because in truth, they have. You walk through life with a sense of confidence, knowing that the universe is already aligning everything to bring your desires into fruition. Your energy shifts from a frequency of lack to one of abundance, and this energy becomes magnetic, drawing more blessings to you. The more you embody the state of having, the more your life reflects the abundance you have claimed. Think about this. How would you behave if your desires were already fulfilled? How would you carry yourself? What would your actions be like? The way you answer these questions is the way you should live now. Live as though your dreams are already a reality. If you desire love, live as someone who is already loved. If you seek financial abundance, live as someone who already has the resources they need. If you want success, live as someone who is already succeeding. This shift in mindset will propel you forward in ways you cannot yet imagine, because you are no longer focused on what you lack. You are focused on what you already have. The key to living in the state of having is trust. Trust that everything you desire is already making its way toward you. Trust that God's abundance is limitless and that your desires are part of His divine plan for you. When you trust in this, you no longer feel the need to push or force outcomes. You simply live with the assurance that all things are unfolding as they should. This trust brings peace. It brings freedom. It brings joy, because you are no longer waiting for something outside of you to change. You know that your desires are already being made manifest, and that you are in perfect alignment with the divine flow. So as you move through your days, ask yourself, what would I do if my desires were already fulfilled? Let this question guide your actions, your thoughts, and your energy. Step into the life you are creating by living it now. Don't wait for the circumstances to shift before you start living your dream life. Live your dream life now. Radiate peace and confidence, because when you live in the state of having, you attract the very things you've been desiring. Your energy becomes a beacon for abundance, and everything you need and want comes to you effortlessly. By shifting from wanting to having, you activate divine blessings in your life. This is not a passive process. This is an active alignment with the universe's infinite abundance. When you fully step into the state of having, you become a vessel through which blessings flow freely. Your desires no longer feel far off or out of reach. They are already yours. And as you continue to live in this state, you will see these blessings manifest in your life in ways that surpass your expectations. It is time to embrace the truth that everything you desire is already on its way. It is not a matter of if, but when. The universe is always working behind the scenes, aligning people, circumstances, and opportunities to bring your desires to fruition. The only question that remains is, will you trust the process and stay aligned with the energy of having? Trusting in divine timing is the final step in this journey. Know that God's timing is perfect. His plan is always in alignment with your highest good, and your desires are already being prepared for you. The moment you step fully into the state of having, you begin to witness the manifestation of your desires with ease. Your faith, your trust, and your belief will move mountains. Everything that once seemed impossible will begin to unfold naturally. And as you continue to embrace the energy of abundance, your life will become a living testament to the power of divine manifestation. Before we conclude, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to you for engaging with this message. You have taken a significant step in your journey toward living the life you've always desired, and I commend you for your openness and willingness to embrace this transformative shift. By engaging with this message, you've already begun the process of activating divine blessings in your life. I encourage you to take what you've learned today and share it with others. If you feel that this message has touched your heart, share it with those who need to hear it. Like, subscribe, and comment below as a way of affirming your commitment to living in the energy of abundance. Your engagement not only helps you stay connected to this powerful truth, but it also helps others discover the path to transformation. As we part ways for now, I want you to carry this truth with you. You are already abundant. You are already worthy. Everything you desire is already on its way. Trust in this, and live as though it is true. Embrace the state of having, and watch as your life transforms before your eyes. Remember, the journey from wanting to having is not about what you don't have. It is about fully stepping into the reality of what you already possess. Your desires are already yours. You are already in alignment with divine abundance. The universe is conspiring in your favor. All you need to do is trust the process, embody the state of having, and allow the blessings to flow freely. Thank you for being a part of this community. I am deeply grateful for your presence and for the opportunity to share this message with you. May your journey be filled with peace, joy, and abundant blessings. And as always, remember that everything you desire is already on its way. Keep walking in faith and trust that the best is yet to come.